On a stormy night, Kate collapsed in pain on the hospital steps, screaming for help. Her husband, Michael, had just thrown her out, heartlessly leaving her alone. The cruel laughter of his new mistress echoed in her ears as she clutched her belly, the baby coming fast. What Michael didn't know was that his abandonment would lead to a shocking discovery, one that would change both their lives forever, and he would regret it deeply. Before we get started with this story, let us know where you're tuning in from. We love hearing your thoughts and seeing where everyone's watching. Kate barely noticed the rain that soaked through her clothes as she groaned in pain on the hospital steps. Her mind was numb from the shock of what had just happened. Michael had kicked her out with nothing more than cold words, leaving her alone and vulnerable. The storm poured down on her, but the storm inside her heart raged far worse. "You'll be fine, Kate," Michael had said, his voice distant, emotionless. "I'm done. I found someone new. I don't need this baby. Good luck." With the flick of his hand, he left her standing there, the cold night air biting at her skin. She had never felt more alone. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was that she was about to give birth alone, with no one by her side. She couldn't even get inside the hospital. But just as she thought she couldn't take it anymore, something inside her clicked. She wasn't just fighting for herself anymore. She was fighting for the tiny life that was about to be born. It was 3 a.m. when the nurse finally found her. A small crowd of concerned bystanders had gathered, and Kate, weak from labor, was being helped to a stretcher. The pain, the shock, and the exhaustion weighed on her, but she could feel the baby moving. She had to hold on. She had to. 3 hours later, Kate found herself in a sterile room, alone except for a nurse who was trying to keep things calm. A baby's cry pierced the air, and Kate's heart swelled with love. A baby boy. A miracle. She held him in her arms, the warmth of the tiny bundle melting away the pain of the night. The next few days were a blur. The hospital staff were kind, but Kate's mind was elsewhere. She thought about Michael. She thought about how he had walked away from her, from their family. But mostly, she thought about the child in her arms and the life she had to build for him. There was no going back now. And then came the letter. Kate's hands trembled as she read the envelope. It was from a lawyer, and the letter was brief. "You are the sole heir to your grandfather's tech empire, valued at $20 million. Kate didn't understand. She had never known her grandfather, who had built a revolutionary tech company decades ago. He had disowned her mother when she was young, and Kate had never learned much about him. But now, here was this letter, confirming she had inherited everything. She stood there shocked. Michael had left her. He had abandoned their family for his new mistress. But now, Kate had a choice. She could give up, wallow in her misery, or she could rise. A week later, Kate made her decision. She took the money from her inheritance and launched her own tech startup. It wasn't easy. Every penny was spent carefully. She worked tirelessly, even through sleepless nights. But she had a fire inside her now, a desire to prove that she didn't need Michael or anyone else to succeed. She could do it all on her own. Meanwhile, Michael was living the life he had dreamed of with his new girlfriend, Tanya. He had left his old life behind, never once thinking about Kate or their child. But everything changed the day he got a call from his lawyer.
"Michael, you need to come to the office," the lawyer said urgently. "There's something you need to see." When Michael walked into the office, he had no idea that his world was about to crumble. His lawyer looked at him gravely. "The woman you left, she's the new owner of your biggest competitor." Michael's blood ran cold. Kate? She had built a startup? No, that couldn't be. She had no experience. She had been a stay-at-home mom. She had been weak, desperate. How could she have turned her life around so quickly? But as the lawyer explained, Michael realized just how much trouble he was in. Kate's company was not only successful, but it was growing at a terrifying rate. The startup was developing technology that could take down everything Michael had worked for. She was going after his empire, piece by piece. 3 months later, Michael found himself in an emergency meeting with Tanya, his new girlfriend. She was furious, pacing the floor of their penthouse apartment. "You're letting her beat you, Michael. She's going to ruin everything. We can't just sit back and let her take us down." "I don't know what to do," Michael said, defeated. "She's too smart, too strong. She's got everything I wanted, and I can't stop her." Tanya stopped pacing and turned to him. "You need to fix this. You need to talk to her. She's your ex-wife. You owe her. You've got to make things right before it's too late." But Michael couldn't understand. He didn't see how he could make things right. What if it was too late for redemption? As the weeks passed, the war between the two companies escalated. Kate's startup was threatening to overtake Michael's. She had hired some of his best employees, and his stock prices plummeted. In a meeting with his board of directors, Michael was told that he had one chance to save his company: negotiate with Kate and try to buy her out. The offer came through his lawyer. Michael knew what he had to do. He had to beg for her forgiveness. He had to humble himself. "Kate," Michael said, standing outside her office in a suit, nervously checking his watch, "I want to talk." Kate stood there, calm and composed. She had no trace of the broken woman he had left behind. She was different now, a force to be reckoned with. "I'm listening," she said coolly, her voice steady. "Look, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I've been an idiot."
"You abandoned me," Kate interrupted. "You left me on the steps of the hospital, alone. You don't get to come back now, Michael." "But I'm offering you a deal," Michael said, trying to control his desperation. "I'll buy you out. You'll get the money. We'll move on. We'll raise our son together." Kate's eyes narrowed. She'd heard enough. "I don't want your money," she said, her voice low. "And I don't want you. You've already made your choices." Michael's face turned pale as Kate revealed what he hadn't expected. "I'm not here to negotiate a deal," she said calmly. "I'm here to take over your company." Michael froze. "What?" "That's right. I'm launching a corporate takeover. Your empire will be mine now. You'll be out, and I'll make sure it's public." Michael's stomach churned as he realized what she was doing. She wasn't interested in reconciliation. She was here to win, to finish what he had started when he kicked her out. "Kate, you can't do this," Michael cried out, panic rising in his chest. "Please, I beg you, don't take everything." Kate stared at him, her expression unreadable. "You had your chance, Michael, and now you'll lose everything." The next few days were a whirlwind. Kate's company launched the hostile takeover, and Michael's world began to crumble. Shareholders pulled out, his employees jumped ship, the media swarmed around the drama, and soon everyone knew the story of how Michael had been left behind by the woman he had once abandoned. And as Michael sat in his office, watching it all fall apart, he realized the terrible truth. He had not just lost his company, he had lost his chance to redeem himself. In the end, Kate didn't just win the business war. She had won her independence, her strength, and her family's legacy. And as her son grew, she made sure he understood the value of resilience, courage, and never, ever letting someone take away your power. As for Michael, well, he never saw it coming, and he never got the redemption he so desperately sought. The life he had built, everything he thought he wanted, was gone, lost to the very woman he had discarded. Be part of our community and share in these meaningful stories. Just hit like and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you can start your day with inspiring lessons and heartfelt moments.